Hello, hello, and welcome, or should I say ho, 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 Christmas cousins? I'm Cousin Chad.
And I'm Cousin Seth.
You are Cousin Seth. And Cousin Seth, we've had a long line of luminaries on the show. And
Hmm?
today we have a returning guest, which is really awesome because Seth, sometimes we have guests on and afterwards they send us a cease and desist letter that says, don't contact us ever again. We are not joining this show. This was what a
Right.
ridiculous waste of time. But Chris was a little bit different. Chris got the show. He's become a fan and a friend, and he has his own Christmas podcast. We have Chris LaFontaine from ChristmasEveryMinute.com. Now, he's been a Christmas enthusiast since opening his first Christmas present and after helping to decorate his first Christmas tree. He created a website called ChristmasEveryMinute.com for those who want to celebrate Christmas a little longer or a little earlier or maybe every day. And that speaks to me because I feel like celebrating Christmas right now and we're mid-February. So you can check him out at ChristmasEveryMinute.com. Email him celebrateChristmasEveryMinute@gmail.com. Talk all things Christmas. Chris, thank you so much for joining. We're excited to have you.
Hey, it's always great to be here with you guys, and I'm always, excited to be joining family because I feel like I'm an honorary cousin. I mean,
Yes,
at least
cousin
that's what
Chris.
they told me. I haven't gotten a certificate yet or the ancestry, notice, but I assume that's all coming. But before we get into anything, hey, congratulations on your 100th episode of Christmas
Thank
Cousins.
you. Yes, thank you. We never checked our math, but we're pretty sure we were accurate. We were right around there, so close enough.
Approximately.
Yes.
I've enjoyed all of your episodes. I'm hanging on to your hijinks, and it's been just total Christmas hilarity. So kudos to both of them.
Is there anything about this show before we get into that stands out where you're just like, I've got to hear more, I've got to find out more, or that always keeps you laughing? Because I have highlights myself, even though it's our own show.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's the absolute variety of everything in combination with Seth's ongoing journey or Christmas journey, if you will, and all the discoveries. If we go way back, his initial tasting of eggnog was absolutely hilarious. That agreed. If you've never had eggnog, what an oddity that is as you're taking that. But
you don't like it either.
I'm an eggnog fan, but I've been having eggnog since I was a kid. I used to get an old Borden's eggnog can about so high. The people listening can't see that, but imagine something that is monstrous under my tree, wrapped every Christmas. And really? But I started from the beginning. So as a latecomer, I totally get it. It is a bit of an odd drink. But all the different guests you've had, the Christmas aficionado, the totally rad Christmas. I was telling both of you that you're spreading my wings a little bit into the podcast world because I'm starting to get exposed to some other ones. And very, very excited.
Great.
And I would also
whole community out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Christmas Cousins is part of the inaugural Christmas Friends section on ChristmasEveryMinute.com. So it's quite an honor. The plaque is in the mail. But you guys, of course, it's almost like a Hall of Fame situation here. But
thank you.
Hall of Fame.
This is a lot. You didn't have to do that.
Yes, he did. Seth, we sent him a check. Of course he did.
Yes. Those were the agreed upon terms. So.
Although that's
right. Yes.
Although it hasn't come yet, but that's later.
That's right. It was from Seth's account. You're fine. Don't worry. It's you're good. So thank you for including us. I know we're on your on the website under the blog. I think Our Christmas Friends. You have a little write up about us, which is really nice. Seth's normally just on the most wanted posters at the post office. So this kind of press is different and welcome, I think. Right, Seth?
Oh, yeah. This is a nice welcome change. So I'll happily take this.
Although that one, Seth, from that last bank robbery you did, you had fantastic lighting in that mugshot. I don't know what you were doing, but your jawline looked great. It's really nice. But
yeah, anyway, I digress. For cameras, who knows?
Yeah, I think it was the Grimace that sold it, but that's
right.
That's just me personally.
So we should sell those shirts. But anyway, Chris, the what you were referring to, just to digress a little bit, Seth's eggnog was such a big hit. I have a clip here of his second ever tasting of eggnog. Let's take a listen.
Why do I have to keep reliving this?
Another sip of the regular. Yes, please.
Yes.
Please. Okay. Here he goes, everybody. Second sip ever of eggnog. Here we go.
Oh,
oh,
no.
Oh my gosh, audience.
Oh, it's so terrible.
Okay. That one never gets old.
It doesn't.
That was the second one.
Gold.
That was the better of the two. I had a regular one and then a vegan one. The vegan one was the slightly better of the two, but yeah.
I feel like for you, Seth, you need to put a huge amount of rum in your eggnog to make it remotely palatable for yourself. But
yeah, I don't know. It's just the consistency. It's just very thick and viscous. I don't know. Is that? But again, I know there's different types of eggnog, but I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, and Chris, on my end, whose sole purpose is to create great content, that's heaven for me. When I hear Seth go, oh no, this is
right.
Months of good things. So
yeah, but speaking of sort of that journey, so I had, and I know you may have some questions for me, but I got a question for you, Seth. If you were to name your top 3 things that you did around Christmas, the holidays, part of this experience, looking back now, what would those 3 things be?
Great questions. Yeah. Love that,
Chris. I enjoyed going tree shopping. It was fun. I went with my son and a friend of his. And yeah, it was just very what you would expect. We didn't cut it down. That was kind of the hope, but yeah, we also went a little late. So I know for this year to go earlier, and so we can cut it down, and we can get that, and all that set up. So
so you're going to go earlier. You're going to go when? November, maybe right after Thanksgiving.
I don't know. Is that normally when the time?
That's the busiest weekend of those first couple weekends. Yeah. Okay. Well, be careful, Seth. Are you going to cut your own tree this year?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I might be in a situation where meet cutes aren't going to happen or may happen. Who knows? We don't know. So,
well, Chris, for if depending on it, you didn't see our Instagram lives. It was revealed that Seth had a big date over this past weekend that came up. I don't know what order. Oh, actually, it'll drop first. That. Yeah. So we have Seth's big date episode dropping to follow up. It's huge. There are paparazzi everywhere. It was wild, but we have the whole report on that.
Crazy.
So Seth, he asked for you for your top 3. That's one, the trade.
Okay. Want to know my top U.S. destination? Let's see. I enjoyed going to see It's a Wonderful Life.
Right.
And like I said, it kind of lumps into another one. Alonso Duralde assigned me 5 movies to watch. Every one, they're older movies from different, versions of It's a Wonderful Life, the Christmas Store Next Door, or the little store next door.
Shop around the corner.
5 of them. Shop around the corner. Thank you. But all classics that people have seen many times over that I had never seen. But so I enjoyed all of those, but I went and saw It's a Wonderful Life at this theater in Chicago, and it was so much fun. It was so I had my first spiked hot chocolate, saw the movie. They did a sing-along. They had carolers when you walked in. So that was awesome. That was so much fun.
Right. Yeah, and if your listeners haven't heard that episode, I highly recommend that too. Your of course, that's the ultimate classic.
The ultimate classic movie and the ultimate classic Christmas Cousins podcast episode with Seth's first ever viewing of It's a Wonderful Life. A guy who grew up in America, even ancillarily, you would have seen something or Seth. No idea. There's no cable under the rock
film school
in which you grew up.
How did that not show up? You think?
Right. He went to.
It's startling.
Yeah, he's actually has a film degree and did not see It's a Wonderful Life, but that's what you get, Seth. Cracker Jack University. It does not. They don't go too in depth, but it's actually Columbia Film School. It's a real film school, but I don't know. We're not going to besmirch them, just in case they want to sponsor us, Seth. So, Chris, we have plenty of questions for you. So, Seth, your top 3 to recap was that 2 and 3?
That was 2. I don't know. You want to split it? Am I going on too long?
No, go give us a third if you have.
I like I say all the interviews. I don't know. I think it's like our inaugural one. It sounds weird just because like not really having an idea of what it's all going to be. I think it's going to just be cousin Chad and I just talking and nonsense. And then,
Right.
yeah, it was kind of funny and just seeing kind of what it was turning into. So, yeah, I guess that kind of that inaugural episode.
Oh, I
That's
like
great.
that. Right.
I love it.
Okay. That makes sense, right? Before you knew what was going to happen, where, right, that's true, Chris. We didn't know. We were like, oh, maybe one day we'll get 50 listeners. And before we knew it, we were in the thousands and we were like, wow, this is pretty wild. So, but with someone as charming as Seth, I don't blame everybody for being fascinated. I have been since the 70s. So,
But I mean, if this
doesn't end.
if what it was, the two of us and nothing against you, Chris, but like rotating family members, because the only people that we could get to do it, like it would still be fun. We'd enjoy it and we'd probably still do it. So
Right. Well, I mean,
that being said, we're very happy to have you here.
Yeah. Well, are you saying I'm not a family member now?
No.
Yeah, which is it, Seth? Which is it? You declared him an official honorary cousin, and now it's just so confusing. This is what he does. He brings you up, he knocks you down. It's part of his control method, Chris. It's sick.
Right. It's okay.
Well, when the blood infusion transfusion thing is finalized, that's when you're officially blood. So that's when we can call you family. I know it's like, yeah.
Fair enough.
There's stages to all of this.
Yes. By the time Seth's done, you have so much Eastern European blood in you, you'll have to worry about pogroms and things. So I don't know if you want to go through with the infusion, but whatever works for you. But so Seth, I like that though. Those are three good options. I'm going to give you, even though you didn't ask, number one, my favorite of all time was when I asked Seth your number one U.S. Christmas destination. And Seth answered London. My favorite, maybe my favorite moment in the show. If you haven't heard that, look up top U.S. Christmas destinations. Seth's choices were things like London, Switzerland. It was a wild.
Denmark or Finland, and then Fiji or something like that.
There's been some geopolitical realignment, Chad, that you're just not aware of.
Yes. Well, we learn when your cousin Seth and the world is your oyster, him flying to London is like me flying to New York for Christmas. So in fairness, it was domestic for him, but I was not expecting that. It took me a while to collect my thoughts. But we are here for you today, Chris. Seth always makes it about himself. It's wild. He does that. So, I don't know how you do that. Seth,
for the moment you've all been waiting for.
That's right. We are here for Cousin Chris to help us because we are now in mid to late February and the shine of Christmas has worn off. All the decorations are down. Even the most hardcore Christmas fans, it's done. So you came out with on your blog, on your website, christmaseveryminute.com. And I love this. This is a great article called How Do I Celebrate Christmas After Christmas? And you're a Christmas fan. How are you feeling now, late February, in terms of, are you missing it or what are your feelings so far?
You know, I'm still knee deep in it. So in a variety of different ways, which we get into in the article there. So feeling pretty good. I mean, I think there's a logical culmination on Christmas Day up to New Year's where you've kind of celebrated and you're there and as you're putting away things again, you're starting to think about the following year. And this is the reason I sort of put this checklist together, because I found myself doing a lot of these different things and that, hey, let me share these ideas. And if they're helpful to someone else and keeps them in the holiday spirit all year long, that would be great. And, the first thing that I tend to do is sort of take things down and put them away. While that can be a little, I don't want to say depressing. It's sort of, a little bit of a downer, but, I always try to look at my stuff and say, how can I do things better for next year? So if it's my lights outside and they're all tangled and broken, how do I sort of pull them apart? And then I jump online and say, are there better ways of organizing these things? Are there? And there's a slew of products that can help you sort of package up your Christmas lights. And then I do sort of an inventory of my decor, outside, inside. Is this broken? Does it need a better container to keep? Is it a family heirloom that needs something a little bit safer? Right. So all those things. And as I take down the ornaments from the tree is, are there better ways to sort of organize them? We have lists of every single ornament, every where we purchase them, the year and so forth. And one of the things that struck me, Chad, when you guys were talking about, the Hallmark pieces, that you had said you don't really collect Hallmark ornaments, which I could completely relate to, because I don't either. And I do exactly what you do, which is my wife and I get ornaments in the places where we go, where we travel.
Right.
And so we also, one of our goals is to see every national U.S. park. And so we always get an ornament from, each of the parks that we visit. So it allows you to sort of relive. So that's something that we do during the year as we visit the parks, where I'm always, purchasing ornaments and kind of.
And Chris, isn't that fun? Because no matter what time of the year you go to the park, you're thinking ahead, like, oh, there will be a point in time this year that I'm at the holiday season, the Christmas season, putting this ornament up. And it's a surreal thing when you get to that moment too, and thinking ahead. We did that recently on a trip. It was blazing hot. I'm like, I cannot believe we'll be putting this up in the tree and it'll be cool out. It doesn't really mesh. So you do the same things. That's interesting. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do have. Are you finding ornaments in, like, say, August or something like that?
Oh, absolutely.
You go to Yellowstone or something and go into their souvenir shop and they're going to have one.
Always.
Okay.
So the two things that I collect are the Christmas ornaments from the national parks, and I also collect a bookmark. So when I've got all my Christmas books and I'm reading them, I've got that reminder. And as I put that ornament back up on the tree, the new one, I was like, oh, it brings back the memories of the trip. And it's just a lot of fun. And so those are all things that you can do after Christmas and sort of straighten up and organizing. That also applies to your sort of gifts, as I call this category. So this is wrapping paper, bows and ribbons. And, what I have typically done in the past is right after Christmas, when all big discounts are out, I'll jump on that as I reassess my stock.
That's good.
Now, if you've passed that moment, have no fear. You can still jump in. There's speaking of Hallmark, Hallmark has a site where you can go get Christmas wrap right now. You can organize it by theme and character and sort of sort by that. And just do that assessment of your stuff and say, okay, what do I need for next year?
I love what you're doing. So instead of being all sad and maudlin that you're taking down last year's, you're simultaneously taking down the year while preparing for the next year. So you're looking ahead, and that changes the mindset completely. Oh, that's smart. That's good. I like that, Chris. Good thinking. Wow.
We saw throughout, and I talked about it a couple of times, but it was people's tradition, practice of taking the tree down. So it is, he said, not such a somber thing. It'll be the family's there, and maybe if you have kids, they're doing a certain task. Like, you guys will put these ornaments in the box, stuff like that. But it's making it a big thing. And like you said, excuse me, the planning and kind of looking at what you have, kind of taking a look at what's broken, not working, what's going to carry over for next year.
Right.
I have one ornament, so my cataloging or filing system is not that.
So you got lots of shopping to do, Seth. To get out there.
You had 4, Seth, and you had 4, and your cat took care of 3 of them, correct?
Yes. Yeah. There were a set of 3 nutcrackers. They'd made it like a day. I didn't put them up all at once. So basically, imagine it. It's the tree, the one ornament that I bought in a parking lot. Met some guy in a parking lot.
Some shady guy with a jacket.
Right.
Exactly. Yes. Trench coat.
He catfished me because I was taught the week leading up to the transaction, I was talking with his wife. And then suddenly the day off, she's like, oh, I got to work or something like that. Can you meet my husband here? I was like, yeah, of course.
Right. Hallmark ornament for $1,000.
Not worth risking. Not worth risking your life, Seth. So
well, I came to find out that I could have very easily gotten it online, and
So because of this meeting, you learned about online shopping, Seth, in 2023. This is breaking news again. Yeah.
I mean, I think he probably has his people do all the shopping for him, Chad. So
he's right.
Most things.
Right, I forget he's kind of out of touch with things. So okay.
But it's so this practice of breaking down stuff.
So and I would say this applies to so many different things. So one of the things I mentioned also in the article is recipes. So if you're big into making, Christmas cookies or thinking about that Christmas meal or any of that, you could practice, all year long. And of course, your family will thank you as you're giving them one different Christmas cookie after another. And then shopping. I always put my list together like in January of all the people that I want to shop for. And what I find is that my thoughts are a little bit more, at least for myself, a little bit more meaningful because I listen throughout the year, the things that they say they're interested in. Right. And I just buy them throughout the year instead of waiting to just run down to CVS on Christmas Eve.
Right. So somebody mentions in April, hey, I really love whatever musician. I love Billy Joel. Then you're going, throughout the year, if you see something, a unique record at a store, or whatever, you're like, this is a great gift.
Correct. And it gets you thinking about, again, the holidays all year long.
So it's fun for you and they get a better gift too, but that's fun for you because it's keeping your Christmas in mind for you, like a little taste of it.
Right. And I don't, given your journey, Seth, you probably felt this, as you're trying to catch up on a ton of, movies and other things that it became a little bit overwhelming and you just ran out of time. So after Christmas is always the time for me to catch up on a lot of the movies that I may have missed. And I fire them up on my DVD, I record them, but also, I'll order them from my local library. I may stream them. I may download them from, Prime, whatever it is. And I can take my time and catch up. And one of the
things. Sorry, go on.
Oh, no, go ahead, Seth.
It's a mix of different things. Sorry. Hold on. Sorry, go on. I thought it cut out for a second, but what is going on? Sorry, continue on. I apologize.
No. I totally agree with what you said.
The highlight of the show so far for me. When Seth loses train of thought,
something popped up, and I do apologize.
Okay. Well, Chris, I do have a question. You're talking about Christmas movies from this year and catching up later. Were there any for you that stood out? New movies, Hallmark movies, cinematic releases, anything that stood out this year?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So what I'll do is I'll give you my favorite. It is actually my favorite movie of the entire year.
I'll give you that one. Not just Christmas. Any movie.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
And I'll give you a sort of a lesser known holiday movie that is one of my absolute favorites. So Holdovers with Paul Giamatti, which has now gotten all sorts of Oscar buzz and BAFTA buzz, was my absolute favorite holiday movie of the year, but also my favorite movie of the year.
Really?
It's based in the 70s. If you've ever seen Sideways, it was the same director.
I love Sideways. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. And Paul Giamatti plays a boarding school teacher who's tasked with, looking after these kids who have nowhere to go over the holidays. So poignant, hilarious. It's shot as if it was a 70s movie too. So it kind of brings you back if you're close to that era. But just a terrific film. Highly recommend it. I think it's out on DVD now. Soon to be on streamers.
I've heard amazing things about that movie. He was just interviewed on the Howard Stern show and they were talking about it. And I haven't seen it and it just sounds fantastic. Have you seen it, Seth?
I haven't. But Paul Giamatti is incredible. He's been
Lane, but yeah, he's the best. He's great. So that's a Christmas movie that was also your top movie. That's very rare, I imagine.
Right. That never happens. Because there are a lot of bad holiday movies out there. And then the sort of a lesser known holiday movie that's one of my favorites is Family Man with Nicolas Cage and Tia Leone, which is kind of It's a Wonderful Life sort of premise. So check it out.
Oh, yeah, I don't know that one. Okay.
Non-titled. It's a great cast, great movie, and Nicolas Cage is awesome. So
it's a full Christmas movie or Christmas adjacent?
It's pretty much a full. Well, it's pretty much a full Christmas movie because it happens. Well, yeah, maybe it's adjacent, but it does happen around the holidays. It's got a pretty big holiday theme to it. So, I recommend that. Of course, one of my favorite movies of all time, which is definitely holiday adjacent, would be When Harry Met Sally, which is this is an awesome movie.
I know these ones that you watch Holdovers is new, but the other ones, do you make sure to watch during the holiday season every year?
I do for sure.
Okay, right.
So
and do you watch the Hallmark?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you do the Hallmark movies as well? The Hallmark Christmas movies, or is that?
I just sort of started that this year. I kind of think of the Hallmark movies as a completely different category in and of itself with those types of movies but I have started to partake.
Yeah, they do a good job of obviously setting a real festive mood, and I mean every scene, that's the point, and that's what it is. And you put them in their own category. They're not going to be up for an Oscar, but they're great escapes, and they're a lot of fun. And if you're watching it, like for the next 90 minutes, my biggest concern is going to be if we're making the winter festival or the Christmas ball or whatever, and that's it. And hearing adults talk for 2 weeks about nothing but Christmas it's fun. I like that. So
yeah. And whether you have personally enough hot chocolate, on the couch with yourself while you're watching it, but as I mentioned these movies, also I want to mention that on ChristmasEveryMinute.com, I've got a new section on there that's mini movie reviews. So
I see that. Okay.
And I'm a pretty strict movie reviewer, so it takes a lot to please me. But in addition to that mini review, you'll also get, where available, and most of them are, a sort of kids review, and these sites go through every scene so you can make sure it's family friendly. And then finally, because I have such a love for Christmas music, I've got a little twist on it where if it's got a soundtrack, I'll sort of review that as well and put my favorite tunes and call them out underneath.
Oh, I see. You have some good ones. Now I see on here you have Robin Williams' "Merry Friggin' Christmas" with a zero rating, zero gingerbread man.
I give it a 1, I think.
Okay.
But
okay.
But I should mention that I have a gingerbread cookie rating, 1 through 5. Just an awful movie. It's unfortunate because that was Robin Williams' last starring role before his untimely death. But it didn't rise to the top. But had a fantastic soundtrack of originals and covers. So I highly recommend the soundtrack and not the movie.
Oh, that's interesting. Was the one gingerbread, was it so bad the one gingerbread was because it was Robin Williams' last movie? Like you couldn't give it a 0.
Right. Okay. The cookie sort of staggered into the rating, stumbling.
Right. Okay.
And there's all-star cast had Oliver Platt, Candice Bergen, Joel McHale. It was dreadful.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay, good. So that's on the mini movie and soundtrack reviews. That's cool. I see there's Christmas, the Cranks on there, the Christmas Chronicles, A Christmas Story. That one obviously you liked. Oh, and you even linked to your blog post. How do I visit the Christmas Story house in Cleveland? So you did visit that yourself, correct?
I did. Yeah. What a blast!
You like that?
It was an awesome trip. They do a fantastic job. The house is sort of just as it was back in the day. And I think you read a lot about them just filming the exteriors, but they did film inside the house as well.
Okay.
All that sort of recreated, and the fence in the back where Black Bart was coming over. That's all there. And you can go across the street and go to the gift shop, which is awesome. And then they also have a Christmas Story museum, and the property includes the Bumpus's house.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's a blast. And, if you go to Cleveland, like everyone's, why would I go to Cleveland? Cleveland was fantastic. So while I was there, I went to see the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is in Canton. It's about 45 minutes. There's a national park there. Downtown Cleveland was terrific. Lots of great restaurants. So we had a blast. We did a sort of a mini vacation that was sort of wrapped around that Christmas Story experience.
And what time of year was this that you went?
We went I think it was the spring.
So it's open year round then, the Christmas Story house.
It is. In fact, the owner just sold it to a mysterious buyer. And
Seth.
So I'm wondering.
I don't know.
I'm wondering.
It was one of my favorite movies.
Right.
You did say you got me something special for a birthday gift, so that makes sense. Okay.
Interesting fact: they just put out a sequel last year, a Christmas Story Christmas, and it was not filmed there because I guess a lot had changed on the street from when the original movie was filmed, so they had to rebuild it in another country. I can't recall which country.
Hungary, I believe. Wasn't it Hungary that filmed it or something?
Yeah. So they rebuilt the whole street. And that first movie, fantastic. The second movie, sadly, not.
It's a clunker.
No, I was not a fan either. They revisited a lot of the guys, and they were kind of just drunks, like it wasn't a happy ending. There was one spot about that was really cool. They took the end, and this isn't a spoiler, it's been out for 2 years. They took the end of the Christmas Story sequel and tied it into the beginning of A Christmas Story. It was so brilliant. It was almost redemptive for how bad the rest of the movie was. It wasn't, but it was close. Did you love that part? I love that part, Chris.
Yeah, totally. That was the highlight. And of course, the old man, Darren McGavin, had passed away, so he wasn't in the movie. The mother, Melinda Dillon, didn't want to be in the movie, and then she actually passed away a few months, I think, after it came out. So it just was no. But
it was, and they tried to just recreate some scenes. They were doing a sledding scene, and it was just mean and dangerous, and it just didn't age well. It wasn't good. Yeah, it didn't hit for me either. Seth, you can skip that one, or maybe Seth, you should read it, watch it, come back. We'll have Chris back on, and you can give us your full review. Christmas Story 2.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Nice. All right.
You're being non-committal. He's being very non-committal, Chris.
Right.
There's been a lull in my movie watching, so that's fine. It's
okay.
I'll send you a list like I did with the song list, Seth. I'll send you some movie recommendations. But just sort of to close out this section, if you're a big Christmas music fan like myself, I've got over 4,000 holiday tunes and growing.
Wow.
It's also a good time to sort of reorganize some new playlists, whether you're on iTunes or Spotify or whatnot, and put them together for the next holiday season. And just it's a time you can have fun. You can jump on Facebook. There's a million, Christmas related Facebook posts everywhere, from the plastic Santa Clauses that they put out on the lawn to vintage Christmas, photos and so on and so forth. So lots of fun stuff to do. And of course, there's lots of, Christmas books you can read. So there's definitely ways and things you could do that you really don't have time during the Christmas season to do after it's over.
Well, that's what I like so much about these tips, Chris, that it takes the stress off when you're like, oh my gosh, I want to get this all done within like a 1 or 2 month time frame, and you're not going to get it done, and you feel you have to jackhammer it in. When you're like, okay, you know what, I can watch these in January and February. Not only does it take the pressure off of you, but it makes you go, oh, I'm not so bummed that it's ending because I'm going to be watching this in January or February. And it gives you just enough to keep going. So that's what I really liked about your tips. I found that I did a lot of the stuff you had listed or list on here as well. But I thought that was a great thing because you do feel like, oh my gosh, it's December 20th. I haven't even watched Elf yet. Oh, you're like, you know what? Watch it in January and enjoy what you're doing tonight. Yeah, instead of forcing yourself. So I like that. Okay, so
you
far,
do the same thing with I see podcast or something like that. There's seasonal podcasts you like. You
absolutely. Yeah,
like ones where
there are so
cousins that just churn them out. That might be a good one for you.
Well, the Christmas Cousins doesn't really apply to that category because you've got to listen to it as soon as it comes out. There's just no waiting.
That's true.
That.
Right. That's a good point, Chris.
And other ones that are
it's a general rule of thumb. It's
we transcend mere podcasting. It's a multimedia experience. I mean, it's a journey. It's not just one-off, Seth. You're not recommending. Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's water cooler talk. You can't be late to the water cooler.
Right. That's true. Later. That's a good point, Chris. You don't want to be there and they go, did you hear about cousin Seth's date? His what? Right. Oh boy. Right. Oh, this guy. Yeah. Right. Good.
Dude, we were talking about that 3 weeks ago. Where have you been?
Yeah, really. Let's move on from eggnog to Jägermeister. Get with it, pal. Yeah. General talk. That's okay. So far we have organizing, inspecting your Christmas lights, your other holiday stuff, do some Christmas catch up with the movies, which also alleviates the stress during the season, which I really like. And even you're talking about organizing your Christmas music, which is fantastic. Because while you're doing that, of course, you're listening and you're getting snippets, and that's giving you some good vibes too. So while doing this, while you were truly celebrating Christmas after Christmas, and a lot of the part where people get upset, they wait all year for Christmas, then it's a week to go, and they're like, oh, I can't believe it's almost going to be over. But with your tips, it's not over. It's maybe to a lesser degree, but it's continuing. So, and it's
you don't
great
have to
because
live in that dread for the week living up to this. That should be a happy time, free of kind of that.
Right. And of course, you can, to celebrate Christmas and all its wonder, you can listen to the Christmas Cousins podcast. You can go to christmaseveryminute.com. There's so many things that you can do.
But mainly just those two. Mainly those two, and you'll be good. Yeah,
exactly. What would you say something like travel? A lot of people book trips or want to, go a number of places outside of the U.S.
Listen to this guy, Chris.
I know.
So this is Seth. So say you want to go to the Swiss Alps and hop to the Italian Alps. Seth.
Well,
there's some version of that.
Right. So I would say, for a lot of the events that take place that you're traveling to, a lot of it does take place during the holiday season. So, you are somewhat limited. For example, we have a thing up here in Massachusetts called Sturbridge Village. And it's an old timey colonial village where you walk through. They're all dressed in character. So during the holiday season, they do Sturbridge by candlelight. So it's everything takes place at night, and you walk in, it's all lit up, and you've got people making cookies from back, old recipes and all that. So those are things. There's also a town called Stockbridge where a Norman Rockwell Christmas painting was painted of the street. So they recreate that during that time. So those are things. And Chad, you may be familiar with some of this. It sounds like you may have heard about some of these things, but there are things like
you told us. You did tell us last time too about what was it, Bainbridge, whatever the name was, Stowbridge. You told us about it last time, and it looks fantastic. So I looked it up after.
Right. That's right.
And you're planning this like early in the year. So like around January, February, you're like, okay, we're going to go to Stonebridge or we're going to go do this. And you're planning getting your tickets at that or as early as you can. And
and just thinking ahead and marking in the calendar. So that's exactly what I was going to say. There are things like I took the White House Christmas tour this year. And so the primary way of getting into that tour is to, contact your congressperson and get a ticket and go down. It's a fantastic thing to do, but you have to think about that ahead of time, and you have to contact them. And I've got a story on my site that tells you exactly what you need to do to get that. So you could check that out. But
there are the FBI building tour. You have to get like a state representative now to refer or give you the blessing. Her blessing.
Seth, that wasn't a tour. That was when you were arrested. I'm sorry. It's a little different. Yeah, it's subtle nuance, Seth.
Right.
Well, you were visiting Seth when he was
I was bailing him out. Yeah, that was. We told Seth he was getting a tour. That's a whole nother episode, Chris.
Right. So
yes, Seth, it was a tour,
intervention, whatever. No, but
yes, Seth, it was a tour of the FBI. Like when you had that tour of Rikers Island for 10 years, Seth, remember that one? That was also fun.
Right.
Well, 8 to 10 years of good behavior.
There are things like the Christmas store. You can go, that's open all year round. There's, I think one of the movies that I had recommended earlier was The Gathering. And that was filmed in a small town in Ohio. You can actually go there and see all the different scenes where the things are filmed, if you will. And I'm sure that, with a lot of the Hallmark movies, you can get involved in that sort of thing as well. So, but there's always interesting things. Like if you're interested in the Christmas markets in Germany, you obviously have to be there during that time. But to your point, Seth, these are all things that you can plan ahead for because it can get kind of crazy during the holidays. And I think if you plan far enough in advance, you can even sleep overnight in the Christmas Story house, if I'm not mistaken. I did not do that, but
okay. Yeah, I
would just think story.
I would say any sort of trip, just planning, it's keeping it fresh and at the forefront of your mind, and everybody's kind of involved in it, and it's just fun. I mean, it's a lot of the fun of a vacation or a trip and stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's the planning of it. Well, I heard this story, and it's kind of sad that they went to the Christmas Story house. People visited, and I don't know if it's apocryphal or real, but I read it as it was real. And the brother who played the younger brother was there doing some appearance, but he was actually staying at the house like an Airbnb. So they were touring, and the guy was actually there staying overnight.
Oh.
And they went to say hello and shake their hand or whatever, take a selfie with him, and then he said, and this is true, I mean, from what I read, and he said, that'll be $20. And that was like so sad.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it was
Wow.
real or not, but I read this, and that was whatever. I forget where I read it, but that he was staying there, and then they took a selfie, and he goes, that'll be $20. So I hope it's not real, but
it's like those
I mean,
Roman gladiators outside the Colosseum. You know, they come up, hey, I take a picture with you, and then it's like $20. You're like, what?
right.
Whatever.
And to Seth's credit, I've never heard that about him. That he's
right. Oh, about Seth charging? No.
Yeah,
He
for
pays
people for
people.
getting photos.
Right.
Yeah, so I've never heard. So kudos.
No, absolutely.
Seth.
Thank you.
You always
Seth
Free
is
photos
very
at all costs. There's no amount of money to
free photos with Seth. For sure. So, okay, so you have all these tips. So the one tip you had that I really like that we didn't get to yet, Chris, is trying new holiday recipes throughout the year. And I love this because I thought I was one of the few people who do this. I do this with my daughter where it'll be Memorial Day weekend and we will make Christmas treats for neighbors. And they think we're bonkers, but we do it, we've done it, and it is so fun. You just kind of put on the ambiance and the music, and for the hour, you're pretending like it's Christmas. So tell us a little bit about this, the trying out new recipes throughout the year.
Yeah, and very similar scenario for me. I started making, and believe me, you don't want me anywhere near the kitchen because I'm just a disaster. But I thought, let me try to do something with my daughter because this, she likes to bake. So this will be a nice, father-daughter, bonding, thing. And so I got to really like making holiday cookies because I found that the recipes are so precise. It's really difficult to make a mistake.
Right.
And so now, my daughter is grown. She's, full time. She's out working, but I still do this.
Oh yeah.
And because I just have found it so much fun, and I do something different every year, and I start planning early, and I will, sometimes test out a recipe early, and then, say, okay, well, that's not quite what I want for the holiday, so let me try something else. So it's a good
bonus. Yeah, to make sure it tastes good, because when it's prime time Christmas, you don't want to hand out bad cookies.
No, right. That's go time. That's
right. Exactly. Right.
You got to be
right.
But there are people who are much more adept in the kitchen than I am, and who can sort of create, what do we want for our holiday meal? How can I make eggnog that Seth likes versus this goopy mess. Well, let me put lots of rum in it. Okay, what do you think? So those are all ways to and it's again a good way to keep your mind sort of thinking ahead to the next Christmas while it's after Christmas.
That's a really good idea, because that also takes the pressure off going, wow, I don't know if these are good and I want to enjoy them. I don't want to eat a million cookies at once, but I'm going to have some in March, and that helps as well. So are there specific things you do for Christmas in July to kind of mark almost there? Is that something you celebrate?
Yeah, that's such a big thing now, right? So I'm actually going to be exploring that topic through one of my blog posts. But
nice.
Not specifically for me, because I'm doing all these different things that we've all talked about all year long. But traditionally, one thing I've done in the summer times, because when my kids were younger, that's when they got time off, that's when we take vacation. So we would be on the hunt, for the perfect ornament from all the different places that we've been. And even today, I'll put up the Vegas, sign ornament on, and it brings me back to that 115-degree day on the Vegas Strip. It didn't feel like Christmas at all.
Do you have a favorite ornament? Do you have a favorite ornament that every year you're like, this is it? I'm so psyched we brought it out.
Yeah, there's some. There's one that's not related to travel at all. It's like it's one I made for the family, and it's like a fireplace scene, and it's got, every stocking has the person's name on it, and so
nice.
that brings back lots of good memories. But and really the travel ornaments as a whole, because in the national park ones, as I put each one up, again, it just brings you back to that trip that you took and all the memories that you had from that. And that becomes, it's just really special to put those up on the tree. So
that's what
I probably have
I like about that. Yeah.
Looking at a photo album, the same photo album of the year before, it just kind of ever growing thing. And you can look back on it like, oh, I guess, that happened this year. I remember when that happened.
Do you have a favorite ornament out of your ornament?
Oh my God, where do I start? Is it you, or I guess?
Let me guess which one.
That's right. The shady one with the guy at the parking lot, Seth.
But at least there's a nice story. I mean, that fortunately ended well.
Yes.
So,
right.
But good as collection grows. So.
Yeah, and I'm always poking around, like places I go. I go to library book sales, and like I just recently they had a whole cart in the corner with all Christmas books. So they had like
nice.
5 best of Martha Stewart decoration stuff, and they were all like 50 cents. So I grabbed them all, and so I've got some reading right now. I'm reading this book I'm holding up. It's Ace Collins' A Story of the Songs of Christmas. So again, these are ways to catch up on stuff that you didn't have time to in the madness that is swirling around the holidays.
Yeah, well, I have to say, speaking of books, you gave a tip that I read over the holiday season, the David Sedaris. What is the title of it? The Chris Santaland stories, Holidays on Ice. That's it. Yeah, and it was fantastic. It was a fun read, and it was. His voice is really great too. So that was cool. So thank you for that tip. I did follow up and read it, and I'm going to read it to Cousin Seth next holiday season as well, so he can be involved. So
I feel like you can have a separate blog and just read from, or a separate podcast. You could just read from the, Chad reads Sedaris.
That's true. If we can handle the bandwidth with all the listeners for that. So
right. And the lawsuits from David Sedaris. But
that's right.
And that's another thing I like to do. I'm a big reader, so I take the time after to read to catch up on a lot of holiday themed sort of books, and it's mostly around the history of things and that sort of thing, because I'm also a big history nut. So,
did you, Chris, read The Man Who Invented Christmas about Dickens and how we got into that? It's also made into a movie, but the book is fantastic.
Right. It's on my list. It's definitely, that's one of the ones I'm looking at this year for sure. Yeah.
I saw what I've read so far. It was great.
Oh, yeah. You read that one, Seth, or part?
Yeah. Yeah. I have it downloaded. It's one of the ones that I keep going back to. So I don't have a lot of time, but yeah, it's on my Kindle, and go check it out.
Yeah.
It's good.
We'll have to do a book review. Seth, let us know when you're done. Book review coming up.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because now I've got movie reviews on my website, christmaseveryminute.com, but the book reviews are coming next. That's one of the things.
Oh, okay.
Do ahead of time.
Because you do have a category that says books on there as well. So these are just some recommendations, just so far Holidays on Ice right now with David Sedaris, but you're going to be adding more. Okay.
Right. Correct. So, and call it out as sort of its own, category at the top. But, and I'm just going to keep, adding different pieces and parts that the people like to the site. Like I've got a new section now on vintage Christmas, and
cool.
I'm taking an old vintage photo and trying to drill down into the details behind that photo. And so, because I'm always interested in the sort of the old timey photographs and videos of Christmas past. So.
Yeah, that is cool. Well, the fun thing about your website is there's a lot going on, christmaseveryminute.com, and you could scroll through. I enjoy your random thoughts when you just kind of popped on. Like Christmas Eve, you really captured the moment Random thought with Santa coming tonight. The house smells amazing with all the food bubbling and cooking away. The tree is shimmering with presents below and the ornaments above. The stockings are filled and ready to be hung. It's Christmas Eve and Santa's on his way. Or as Ralphie put it so simply in A Christmas Story, all is right with the world. I thought that was succinct and brilliantly put and captured the essence of Christmas Eve. And that was just a random thought. So you actually did that, type that on Christmas Eve night.
Correct. Yeah.
You could just go back to that. If you miss Christmas, go back to just that little paragraph, a couple paragraphs, whatever that you wrote, paragraphs, and that encapsulates it. You did a really nice job with that.
Oh, thanks. And if you anyone who likes the site, there's a lot of stuff, as you said, going on there. There will be a lot of stuff, but you can also subscribe to my newsletter, which updates you on a fairly regular basis on all the new and different things that are on the site. So you can sign up on the page. I think when you get to the site, it automatically has a pop-up that and I'm not selling anything. I'm just sharing information and that sort of thing. Although who knows, maybe one day I'll have a Seth ornament and a Chad ornament, nice, or a Christmas Cousins ornament.
I do know that I owe you a little article, so it's I will deliver about my experience and journey through it. So yes, I will. I haven't forgotten. So.
All right, we'll post that on there. And one of the things that I want to extend into is maybe the YouTube world. And I think what I'd like to do is feature interviews with Christmas enthusiasts. And I promise the first one I do will be with the Christmas Cousins.
Wow, nice. Seth, do you hear that? Yeah.
Tables are turning. Interrogation, so I'm sure you're much more genteel than so.
Well, I mean, you guys are inaugural members of the ChristmasEveryMinute.com Hall of Fame, so of course,
thank you.
If you'll have me on the interview,
we would love to do that. Yeah,
yes, so
definitely.
Yeah, let us know when you want to do that. As inaugural members of the ChristmasEveryMinute.com Hall of Fame, do we get like diplomatic immunity? Like, do I have to pay for parking? What are the benefits?
Free access to all the content on the site. You get
the free site,
right? On a free newsletter, which the free newsletter. You get a free newsletter of the free newsletter, and nice. and who knows what may be coming down the road that you'll get as special sort of features. But I have a question for you guys. When are we going to see the Christmas Cousins swag? That's what I'm interested in.
We do have a little merch store. We don't talk about it much, but we do actually.
I haven't seen it. Do you? I've got to get. I missed that.
Yeah, it was cool to see. We have stickers that we can actually send you. You let us know your address. We'll send you some for free. We always do that for people. But we do have a little merchandise store. If you go to our Instagram and you click the link in the bio, it's right there. Yeah, T-shirts, beanies. They're fun stuff. There's some baseball tees and hoodies, but we just don't push it that much because. But a lot of people did. We did sell a good number for the holidays, and it was fun. People sharing them with us, what they got. So that was cool to see that now somebody's going to be wearing that on Christmas or opening this on Christmas morning. That was really thrilling for us. So, and obviously, Seth doesn't need the money.
And it's a site called Spreadshirt. And then if you go, just type in Christmas Cousins and stuff, and
I'm on. Yeah,
there's all sorts of stuff. Yeah, water bottles, teddy bears.
Yeah, teddy bears too.
Seth's staff, all with their T-shirts.
Exactly, their faces on the T-shirt.
It should be a Jeeves ornament or something, Seth. Some ornaments from your staff members.
Toiling away in a sweat factory making the shirts.
Yes. Chef de la Seps. That would be a popular one, Seth, for sure.
We do have that or something like that.
We need one. We need like a sort of a photo illustration of Seth's reaction while sipping eggnog for the first time.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that. It's
I love that idea though. That would sell out. Beth, get sculpting, would you? We need a mold.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Going to get some clay right now.
Yes. So there's a lot going on. So what you're referencing, you did ask Seth to write an article for your blog about his journey. My prediction is that article will never materialize. I did try to run the block for you, Seth, and tell Chris good luck with that. But maybe it'll happen. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be in crayon.
Right. Well, as you were looking at benefits of being Hall of Fame members, that spot is always open, Seth, for that article. So as an inaugural member of the Hall of Fame, you get privileges that others
Thank
don't.
you. Okay.
So you could write blog posts.
The space is always empty.
I'm glad I held off on asking if there's any wiggle room on that free price you were talking about before. So, but okay.
That is he is a really good writer. Just once he needs to get started, that's the hard part for him. The writing's no problem. So I'm looking forward to seeing it too, Seth. I hope you do it. So was there anything else you wanted to leave us with, Chris, before we end today's episode?
Yeah, and I think that's about it. But I think, the topic today is obviously a timely one because it's after Christmas. But the whole site was created, as you so adeptly pointed out in the beginning, for people who want to enjoy Christmas, before, during, and after. And that's really what it's about, is in all the things that I have on my checklist, which is a downloadable PDF. So if you want to go and grab that at the end of that article, I just hope people are coming in and enjoying it. And I would love down the road to get, some interaction from, the people who are coming to the site. Send me your personal photos of your Christmas tree setups, your decorations, and all that. So looking forward to what 2024 will bring for the holidays all year round.
Yeah, that's a great point, right? Because for you to get some feedback and interaction, because right now you're like a chef who puts it out there and you don't get to see people enjoying your meal. Like if they're laughing or enjoying your blogs, you don't get that reaction. So
here with a huge audience that you have, listening to
23 million listeners daily. Last statistics that I made up.
Yeah, they're all right across from down the hall from Seth, I think.
That's right. Yeah.
In the auditorium.
That's right. Seth, would you have something? Were you about to say something?
Oh, no. Just enjoying this talk of my wealth and
you're so shy.
It has a different effect and feel when you're hearing it talked about in front of you. So, but
Well, I just want to also thank you guys for having me on to talk about sort of all things Christmas. It's a wonderful community of Christmas enthusiasts, and you guys. It's been fun to listen to you guys tap into that with all the different friends that you've met and who've been partaking in your podcast, and to see all the different topics and areas that you've gone from Seth's journey to almost everything. Now you guys are big screenwriters. So
that's right.
It's been really fun to listen in on that and that journey of not just Seth, but also your podcast. So kudos to both of you. It was just a really fun, great experience.
Thank you. The crowd loves you, Chris. You're a big fan favorite for sure. It is fun because, like Seth referenced, I think we would be doing it, if it was just the two of us. And our conversations are very much like the podcast, right down to the sound effects when we're off air. But we're enjoying it, and it's great that it's resonating with an audience and people are liking it. And the feedback that we get from you and from all the Christmas Cousins community is so rewarding. But we're not here talking about you again, Seth. You always make it about you. We are here for Chris today, talking about how to celebrate Christmas after Christmas. Go to his website, christmaseveryminute.com. If you want 5 minutes of Christmas, go to his website. If you want an hour of Christmas, go to christmaseveryminute.com. There's something there. It's great graphics. It's colorful. It's well written. It's well thought out. And there's a lot of love and fun put into it. And that's evident from every little click on there. So thank you for doing it, Chris. I do appreciate it. And I do subscribe to your newsletter. And when it comes in, it's like a little Christmas gift. I click on it, very quickly. And I'm like, what's new? What's coming up? And it's all free great. And it's all for fun. So anybody listening, this will enhance your day, give you a smile. And if you're feeling blue, go to christmaseveryminute.com. And thank you so much, Cousin Chris, for joining us again. We're looking forward to having you on again soon.
I love it. And, I'll be in touch.
Yes. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Cousin Seth.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you guys. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you soon.